You like that?
We're clearly not going to get a second ruling. The refs ran off as soon as they alerted that it was a touchdown and didn't even go for review, and that's something that I'm sure the league will come out with the new rule next year.
Did you think it should have been reviewed?
Shouldn't it be? Aren't all touchdowns reviewed, especially in overtime? That's on. I'm sure the league will say something about it, or maybe they won't.
Cameron Jordan over the officiating. All right, you're not having deja vu, everybody. Everyone talking about the officiating in a Saints playoff loss once again. The Saints lost on the final play for the third year in a row as the Vikings advanced after a 26-20 overtime win. Officials determined no offensive pass interference on Kyle Rudolph's game-winning touchdown. Now, the senior vice president of officiating, Al Riveron, said after the game that they briefly reviewed the play from the league's command center in New York. There is contact by both, but none of that contact rises to the level of a foul. This is consistent with what we've done all year long. We left the ruling on the field. We let it stand. Now, Coach Sean Payton said he didn't really see any of the officials after the game, but suggested multiple times that the Vikings did deserve the win.
I did not. I don't ever want to hear Al Riveron say consistent in a sentence. That's number one, but we can move past that.
All right.
All right.
Stephen A., did you think, let's start with this. Did you think OPI should have been called?
No. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, listen, both of them were going forward. As far as I'm concerned, that's number one. Number two, in the aftermath of the game, I was very happy that the NFL did what you call a pool report. That's when you allow the officials to speak to the media, because we know that over the last several years, albeit with legitimate reasons, that the Saints use every opportunity to complain about the officiating. Number three, less turnovers on the part of the Vikings, a more effective running game on the part of the Vikings. Defensively, the pressure that they were applying to Drew Brees, more effective. And at the end of the day, here's what I'm sick of. I'm sick of everybody listen, Drew Brees did not have the greatest game yesterday. Their offense obviously was not great yesterday. We get all of that. We understand that. But it's amazing to me how we talk about Drew Brees and we don't talk enough about Sean Payton. We sit up there and we just finished talking about Mike McCarthy, right? You got a Super Bowl championship, right? And then after that, you haven't been back to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Well, what the hell is Drew Brees, chopped liver? The fact of the matter is, Sean Payton has missed the playoffs 3 or 4 times in the time that Drew Brees has been his quarterback, not to mention the suspended year that he suffered. Let's also take into account the fact that you're supposed to be boy genius, all right? And the reality of the situation is, with Drew Brees as your quarterback since 2006, the year you arrived in New Orleans, you got one Super Bowl championship and the only Super Bowl appearance to show for it, with Drew Brees as your quarterback. When the hell are we going to look at Sean Payton? Of course, not firing or anything like that, because he's Sean Payton and we know that he's too gifted for that. But at least look at the man and sit up there and say, yo, man, you coming up short. Because we damn sure say about the players. What about him?
First, the non-call on the OPI.
Yeah.
That was offensive pass interference. It shouldn't have even been reviewed because it was obvious to the naked eye when it happened. I get the idea of the hierarchy of the situation, bad play call, whatever else. However, once you get the power forward on the point guard, right?
Yep.
And then the power forward blatantly stiff arms the dude to create separation, you got to call it. So
doesn't get called all the time.
I understand that. I hear all the arguments. It doesn't usually get called. You could call that on any play. It's like holding, yada, yada, yada. That was OPI. I know it when I see it, and there it is, and that's OPI. Okay, that's one. Two, I'm not going to let that take away from the big story of this game. The story of this game for the Vikings, who have an embarrassment of riches on offense, is when Dalvin Cook is healthy. If Kirk Cousins decides to be excellent that day, which he was when he needed to be, that's a tough team to beat. I have consistently been critical of Kirk Cousins coming up small when he needed to come up big. Like when Deshaun Watson did that amazing thing,
that was the truth.
I was like, of course he's going to. And I was sure Kirk Cousins would screw this up, but I was hoping he wouldn't. And he not only didn't screw it up, he was excellent when they needed him most. He deserves that credit. When Dalvin Cook is healthy, if Kirk Cousins decides to be excellent, they are live.
Marcus, I want to ask you a question here, because we talk a lot about Tom Brady, the cliff and age, and Drew Brees is going to be 41 in about a week. Do you think next year they should potentially have his successor on the field and start planning for the future?
Absolutely. I mean, look, first of all, this whole conversation about one thing I agree with Max on with Tom Brady, the successor should already be in the building. They should have already had him. Now, The Saints have Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if that's their plan to move forward, but they do have a capable guy in the building. New England, on the other hand, we have no clue what they're going to do behind Tom Brady. Here's the point, though, I want to make about the Saints and what you just said, Stephen A., because I don't agree with it. When we look at Sean Payton, all right, and we look at the last 3 to 4 years with the Saints, that's been player era and referee era. That ain't been Sean Payton. Giving up that pass to Minnesota as simple as making a tackle, all right, on that play. We look at last year with the Rams. Obviously, we know what happened and transpired. And then this year, now, this is what I will say. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, this just happened to you with George Kittle against San Francisco, where you put a smaller guy on a tight end and gave up a win. That's what you did. This ain't nothing we fishing for. That's exactly what you did. So OPI, to your point, Max, I understand what you're saying. The rule says that's supposed to be called OPI. You go with that. I just haven't seen refs make that call in a long time in the NFL.
Let me add this before y'all go on.
Get away from me.
You brought up Sean Payton. I would remind you that last year in 4 of their last 5 games, they scored 12, 14, 20, and 23 points.
Yep. This
year, they scored 17 in the postseason. You talk about a high-powered, prolific offense that when it really, really counts, we haven't seen that high-octane product.
That's true, and it's also true they've been victimized by bad calls, period.
But hold on, Stephen A. They were in, even though the points didn't happen, they were in positions to win that game, and it had nothing to do with his offense.
You know who wasn't in position and wasn't in the playoffs? That would be the Cowboys, but they...
Steps up, he gets hit, he goes down!
Carson Wentz suffered a head injury after the hit by Jadeveon Clowney, who was not penalized for the play. Referee Sean Smith said after the game that they saw Wentz as a runner who did not give himself up and saw the helmet contact as incidental. Here's a reaction to the hit following the game.
I was just rushing the passes. It was a bang-bang play. I ain't intentionally trying to hurt nobody. I just played this game with a lot of enthusiasm and effort, and that just was a bang-bang play. I hope he's okay. Everything be okay with him.
I seen the replay, and I just asked him, like, just stay off my quarterback. That's a dirty play, and he's like, no, I was just finishing the play.
I thought it was late, and I kind of knew something was wrong right away. Just the way he got up, devastated for my guy. Really tough.
Tough break there, Stephen A. Obviously, Josh McCown stepped in. Tell me this. We haven't seen Carson now. The last 2 years, he was injured for the playoffs with a knee and a back respectively, and then gets knocked out in the first few plays with a concussion. What does this say about Wentz as a franchise quarterback?
Not a damn thing. This has nothing to do with it. If it were a different kind of injury, that would be different. Nobody is immune from potential concussions, particularly on a play like that. I am not calling Jadeveon Clowney a dirty player. I want to be very, very clear about that. But I'll be damned if that wasn't a dirty play. That was a dirty play. I mean, when you see this guy, now you could, and I don't understand how the officials didn't flag Jadeveon Clowney. I thought he should have been ejected from the game.
Yeah, that's
You know what? His head, if you look at his body, his head, that is targeting his head. The man is sliding, and that's what you did. You hit him in the back of the head and smashed his head. And I got this, listen, I got this right here from an Eagles source, a source that works for the Eagles organization. This is minutes. This is like literally a quarter after this happened. This is during the game. Carson's concussion is really bad. He can't remember anything that happened. When he went into the medical tent, he was literally swaying. I got that from an Eagles source, okay? There is no way on earth that Jadeveon Clowney should not have been ejected from that game. As far as I'm concerned, there should be a stiff fine coming his way. Again, I'm not calling, or suspension, I'm not calling him a dirty player. I've never seen him do anything before. But that play yesterday, Max, was what it was. It was a dirty play.
I want to go on the record by saying there should have been obviously a penalty and an immediate ejection after that targeting. 100%, I agree with you. Again, I'm not even going to repeat everything you said. I agree with you about that play. Is it fair now to question Wentz's durability?
Not at all.
Yes, it is. And I will tell you why. First of all, I'm not questioning his toughness. Toughness and durability are two different things. I saw Wentz on one leg. I was at that game in L.A. I saw him go out and complete a couple passes when he should have been in a hospital. Wentz is a very tough guy, and I'm not quite